Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. It's Mr. May Josh here. Haven't been able to sleep too the last couple days. When I do, I have all these crazy dreams. Wake up feeling highly depressed, unmotivated, angry. Trying to deal with something that is a little bit different, I think, than other people's spiritual journeys or life in retrospects. Like why would my job be? I mean my life. Yeah, life is a job, right? Be different or more difficult than anyone else's when, you know, it seems like everyone kind of goes through kind of the same thing to some degree or another. And it seems like everyone else finds a spot to fit or what works for them, something that builds them up. And I don't really, I've kind of had that and not really, nothing really to give me money unless I'm just going into another job. And like I've said before, like there's so many watching me. The count of my subscriptions has nothing to do with it. There's monitoring spirits. As far as I can tell, there might as well be a camera on me all the time, tapped in, and then whoever pays to get in on it can. I mean, I don't know how it really is. I mean, the truth is beyond fiction, and I would any crazy thing a person says, I wouldn't discount it at all. Those that go, that's not real, that's not real. You watch too many movies. Those are the ones that are a little bit delulu because, especially in this technological age, where they have towers and control the weather and cause earthquakes, cause volcanoes, can tap into people's heads, um, can transmit images. All these are real technologies, especially if you're a person of interest. And so, like, it's hard to tell, like, what a conspiracy is when, for instance, somebody goes and shoots up a school. Was it everyone around him? Was it also the internet and the algorithm and it feeding a person a certain way and building them up so so that it didn't take hardly anything and anybody could push the button and get them to go do it? Was it the government or was it some spirits? See, drugs have little to do with it. At the same time as, well, that's the true battleground. Because if you already got to deal with yourself and your own trauma, your own fantasies, your own mind, along with the heightened experience and deal with all that shit when every regular person has no fucking clue. You know, 90% of their brain is turned off, not being used. Well, who can tap into that? And if they're not any person of interest, then and then yeah, they can just go along like, just like a tadpole in the stream, with no predators, and just fit in, and that's all good and well. But for some people, it's not like that. Looking back on my journey of my life, before I ever awoke. I mean, of course, it turns out that I am a person of high interest, one way or another. But it's not about me, but it's been pointed out that it is something is all about me. Not that word, but this guy, this body, this person born on this day with these characteristics named Josh that everything avoids and everything wants to get at and everything's already got. And there's this polarity around it, around me, where throughout growing up, I was highly isolated. And sometimes when I'd pray or ask for something, something like that would happen, leaving these little imprints in me that trying to lead me in a direction. What is that, the devil's work, or is that God's, or is that the government, or is that entities, let's say? So a place of balance is a really hard place to be when the whole idea behind, let's just use the word the devil or Satan, I don't know. It's not the same thing, but it's the concept, right? That if it's like, if you're like, oh, I'd do anything to have $1 million, or, just asking for things, which is weird that most people, I mean, will pray for others, but at the same time, when you pray for yourself, you ask for stuff, right? It's like Christmas. You're like, please, Santa, will you make me into a princess? I want to have this. I want to own a Lamborghini. And then things will set themselves up so that you'll get that. But then there's all these chains and locks and hooks that get into you in order to lead you there. And so then to get what you want seems to be a hell of a road, especially if it comes easy. Because now you're all chained up and shit that you don't understand. And, well, you got to pay for that, apparently. We would think so. That the weather has something to do with how I feel or things that I predict. Is that on me? Is that my fault? Or something doing it based upon what I perceived, what I said? That's a hell of a weight when people get hurt. Or when I get too high. What's too high, When I put my body through a great trauma, then the world goes through a great trauma. Is that good or is that bad? And it ties into the systems trying to balance this concept of God, while each person, especially ones that have great power, already believe that they're above God, and a lot of them don't believe in that concept. And they don't want anybody around that they can't control. They only want good slaves. And ignorance runs, makes it work. Or even like the Italian mafia. As far as I know, and the Nazis were totally tied into the papacy. Or even Pope Francis, his family fled. Who knows if they were Nazis or not? But, everything's under the CIA weird stuff. To Argentina. And then he got raised up to become the Pope. Was that like a deal made with the devil? Was he, when the Cosa Nostra and stuff, they're tied back to Italy and to the papacy, where the forces are was playing two sides. Where if you're like a person, even if you take a lot of trauma and damage or whatever, but you keep it all to yourself, there'll be all these people, even just regular people, you're like, why don't you speak out about it? Why don't you do something about it, you know? And sometimes the forces will keep piling it on you, keep fucking with you until you'll either off yourself or you'll just learn to take it. But then as soon as you speak up about it, oh, now it'll turn around on you the other way. Now they'll make you the bad guy. Or they'll use you as their front runner after they were the ones that abuse you. So that you'll go down for it, or you'll be the one to raise them up. See? and at the same time, turn all those around you against you. Where, like, for instance, bring a bunch of people in or whatever, be like, well, we'll help you, you know? And then, but then all those people will be paid by those that would traumatize you. So then they'll be playing you and them and the whole structure. You know, when I was in the bus and I would hang myself on the cross, let's call it that, for a few days. Well, I have all this stuff documented where there was all these attacks on Northern California where it's burning down. And there's all these films and stuff. I think it was summer 2018. 2019. 18. Yeah, it's 2018. Of weird lights in the sky and drones setting these fires and stuff. You go back 2 Christmases ago when I was in the hotel and I was hanging on that cross. It was all about aliens. There was all these drones and stuff. Traumatizing the people every time I'm burning. They're doing some kind of psyop on everyone and torturing people and having everybody all fucked up in the head. A couple months before that, once like my YouTube group, all the people that I admired that I don't know if I could trust anybody, but were turned on me as the narcissist. I'm the narcissist because I'm in. Let's just say that I'm made to portray everything inside out. So then obviously I gather all of like God's stuff. So it looks like, oh well, he thinks he's God, huh? You know, oh look, he's a narcissist. Oh, he bring up Jesus. Oh yeah. Well, that's, you know, we can't talk about that. That's the devil. Or, you know, oh, he thinks he's Jesus. You know, it's about the narcissist, and you know, and then when I got pushed to X, then I was given a lot of gas to feed into his engine. And what they do during that period? They burned down LA. I didn't do that, but then they tie everything to whatever I do, then seems to affect everyone else. But I didn't do it. But hey, whenever I'm not suffering, does that stuff just go away? No. But they specifically time things to torture everyone based upon what I do. They is they. It's whatever. The power structure, the entities, those with the money and the control that always have, there's no way you could pin it on them hardly. And if so, they'd probably get elected and destroy half of the government documentation and fire everybody in the government to make sure that there's no record. So where's forgiveness come in here, right? When you could see things to be done But being the one that has to suffer the entire time and see the others suffering, but then everyone else gets help. But where does my help come in? And if it's based upon how well if I'm doing bad, then everybody's doing bad. Oh, but I'll probably be happy, you know. I'll be happy. Okay. Then when I'm suffering, the other way around, I got nothing, I got nobody. I'm being hunted down by the fucking police while they're protecting me at the same time of in on some kind of deal, and the neighbors all beating me up and shit. Who's there to protect me? And when I'm happy, just sober, normal, happy, does everybody else's happiness go up? No. Only the negative, which seems to relate to something that is a big concern of mine. Why does everyone else get elevated and get to blame me? Or be the ones that are like, oh, well, we're doing our best, or, oh, it's his fault, or whatever. But then all my ideas are stolen before I ever get to do them. Anything that I bring up is taken and turned into a whole bunch of extra money, and I don't get a penny of it. There's so many AI channels that basically just feed off of my one channel. Might as well be a whole fucking Grok army. I mean, who knows if they're individuals or they're being paid by others. In order to cause a lot of chaos in the system and feed off of one being and use me to both magnify it at the same time as divide it up and confuse everyone. And also put the tail on the donkey while the fuck am I doing? Where can I go? How am I supposed to lead? Anybody who has the power is only going to follow in the sense where they're going to take those ideas, and they're going to use them for their own because they'll never bow or believe that they're equal with anybody. See, as far as I can tell. And if they were to do anything for me in particular or call my name, they would have to automatically admit that they know that I exist. And to some degree admit to knowing what they participated in. And so who would ever do that, right? If you can get away with a crime forever and make a lot of money off of it and watch people suffer at the same time as come in and be everybody's savior and employ people and just give away free money as being working for the forces of evil or self-entitled narcissism, literally, then why the hell would you ever be good to the person that you're using as your idol, as your altar stone, as the altar boy that all the bigwigs get to fuck and put their seeds up in too, as the Divine Mother, and put it on them as a mask, and they can all be holy, or they could all be badass motherfuckers, and nobody could touch them, and they could dance like retards on the stage, and they'd be like, well, I'm autistic, and see, I'm all cool. It doesn't matter if you dance cool or not cool, we're all gonna make fun of you. Well, one of the things is, oh, well, it's just easy, Josh. Just copy me. If you can't beat on yourself the way that we had to because you're stuck on the point, then make fun of me. Here, my head's in a bowling bag as a bowling ball. Yeah, like you don't already have enough power. And you want me to dance around and give it to you even more than you did it. So it's a really complicated trap. So that's why the stars automatically highly offend me at the same time as for moments it's like Stockholm syndrome. Like, yeah, yeah. Oh wait. No, get the fuck out of my face. Go. Yeah, I don't want to fucking hear your songs. I don't want to see you ever fucking again. Get the fuck out of my house. Get out of my head. Get out of my algorithm. I never want to know anything about you ever again. Oh, too late, right? It all ties down and back to this concept of the divine, the Son of Man, Jesus concept, this leader, Joshua, that just follows what God tells him to do and saves everybody. But at the end of the story, nobody ever knows what happens to him. and and what happens to Jesus? Everybody beats the fuck out of him and kills him. Nobody fucking saves him. While he helps humanity forever forth, but he's missing in action. Everybody pissed and shit on him and fucked him. And and now everybody can feel sorry for themselves and praise him. And how confusing is that, right? When it really comes down to it, that's a lot of shit to hold. And what's to hold on to? What's it got to do with me? But then it offends others. Oh, what? He's not going to support the church? What? He's not going to support the Bible? What? Which one are you going to pick, you know? Which religion? All of them. And none of them. Well, isn't that blasphemous? Well, how are you going to lead us? How are you going to give us something new? Where are you going to go? Good fucking question when you barred all the fucking doors and broke everybody in half and bent them over some invisible knee that you put up on high here. Yet down low, while, like I said, it's like I'm always monitored. I'm never alone. Whatever I do affects the world, but I don't get to affect it. I don't get to choose. When I pray for things, things happen, but it doesn't happen the way I wanted it to. And those in power want me to fucking suffer. Unless I'll do it their way and be their bitch. At the same time as they'll probably never come to the point of ever meeting me in person. I don't see how that could be possible. Because they're on their high horses and I'm about as humble. You wouldn't think so for some of my videos, but that's just the fucking rage of having to deal with this shit come out. And honestly, I don't know who to talk to or what are we going to talk about other than this stuff that this channel kind of has to do with about the divinity and how it's tied to everything and everything's broken. But if you let in certain lines and thought forms, whatever, it gives more color at the same time as lines up pieces of the mind for other people. So it is more about a specific and about me, but at the same time, it breaks it and helps dissipate that energy. But everyone profits off of that while I'm still stuck as the circle jerk. Where I don't have a clue how to lead the people. If it's just about me and and living a good life, it's weird because I don't want to be forgotten with all this weight on me and all this stuff tied to me. And then at the same time as I just want to run away from it all and fucking burn it all, disappear. That didn't work the first time. And they'll just use it in the dark. Anyhow, separately, and have me in a bubble separately. And so it's almost better like this, but I don't have any fucking move to I don't have anywhere to go, any way to move. So the more ignorant or innocent or less somebody cares or knows, the better off people are. At the same time as you're not better off. And knowledge is a curse, but the more the more you know, the better off you are. But at some point, it becomes a burden. Because what's worth sharing and what's not. And if you're me, even your thoughts matter. I mean, they say that about everyone, that your thoughts do matter. Well, it's hard for me to have positive thoughts every day. And positive about what? What am I building? Where am I going? I want to get paid for all the suffering I've been through. I'd like to just disappear and go off and, oh, but they probably won't let me do that. I never wanted to do social media. For years, I never liked or commented a video ever. I just listened. I was totally disconnected from it. But then it slowly pulled me in. And the more I got pulled in, the more it would mock me. And that's not delusional. It's a real fact. Only to bring about where we are right now. And it comes down to the question that each of us has to deal with. Like, the God is an important concept. And it has to do with a force greater than any of us and all of us. At the same time as there's these egregores and collective mind groups that are hidden or tied together through bonds of one way or another, like families, that control and fight over humanity in the higher dimensions. But it plays out on the 3D. And it's not as easy as just choosing a faction and being like picking a church or something. Because in some ways, that gives up a lot of your power. And at the same time, it grants some kind of protection. But anything that's too protected, it doesn't have a lot of power. But at the same time, who wants to deal with all that burden? But without the burden, then you become like a robot. You have everything you need, and you don't really have much to contribute. You just do your job, keep your mouth shut, do your routine, live your life, start to end, leave your kids behind. We'll take care of them. Yeah, we'll take care of them. We'll take care of them. And it's all kind of sinister. It shouldn't be. With tied to, it's this battle of, like, for instance, if you use like AI in the way of like Chat GPT or whatever, and have the computer, artificial intelligence, do it all for you. That's cool. That's a really good benefit. I haven't been able to do that yet. Haven't really found any value in it myself because I want to be tied to something of substance. But at the same time as I'd like to have a business that runs itself on the side and I can make some money so I can enjoy my life if nothing else, right? So I can just go on a vacation or get a car and buy things. I haven't had any money for months. In one way, like I say, that's good. Another way, the computer's got your whole fucking life and your whole business. At any time, you just fucking blink off and now you got nothing. Or it could change its mind and how it's working with all the other computers. And then all of a sudden now it's fighting against you. Unlike a 3D business, like say a tire business, fucking tires aren't going away anytime soon. At the same time as fuck, it takes up all that space. You gotta deal with the waste. You gotta get new. You gotta have the inventory. You gotta have people at the desk. You gotta have people that come into work. You gotta do insurance. Blah 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 blah. Oh my god, what a hassle. That's a lot of shit. But once it takes care of itself, fuck. Now you're causing a whole bunch of chaos and waste and helping keep society running. While you don't even have to go to work if you don't want to. I mean, it'll run itself. You can hire somebody else to take care of it. But then with all the money in the world, what are you going to do? Unless you have a voice, something to share, a passion, right? I've always wished I had a mentor and somebody that could, like it used to be in the trades, more and more, the further you go back, up as I don't know, a blacksmith or this or that, carpenter or shoemaker or whatever, yeah, a jeweler. Put your shingle up. Now you got everything you need, but at the same time, you got to deal with the mafia, the tax business. Shut you down in a heartbeat. Or the royalty. So as we all get more sovereign, but that's a shitty word, right? Because sovereignty really kind of has to do with the royalty, but they ain't got shit to worry about. They're far. It seems like they're far beyond. They're fucking gods. They don't even have to have an appearance. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to do anything, and they can do anything. They got castles that you couldn't even put a price on what it'd take to build them, especially since it took real manpower. And now you do it with machines. How much wealth is in those places? Just as stuff that just hangs on the wall. It's worth more than a person's entire life. They just go pick that shit up. Like they're going to get the mail. I'm like, yeah, put it over there. What does it matter? And that's kind of an issue they put onto America. Each of us is that by having to hold the whole ladder of evolution all the way up. At the same time is what else does the world need? Does it need more junk? What is each person individually in our voice worth? In our story? And what can it do to help others? There's only so much to teach. What is there to lead? I wake up every day wondering this question. And ultimately, I just wish I had a home office, a business that pretty much took care of itself. I work a little bit each day, or it can tied to my wife, you know. Work 4 hours a day, work 6 hours that day. Fuck, we're just all into it, having a good time. We work 12 hours, and we're just doing it together and building this empire at the same time as we take 2 weeks off if we want to and just have somebody else take care of it for just the nitty gritty basics, or just log in for an hour each day and be like, okay, done, you know, and enjoy each other's company. Because I want to spend time with my kids when I have them. I don't want to be like no fucking monk, pope figure tied to like the concept of Christ, whatever. I want a family. I want kids. I want to spend time with them and help them grow. I want to crawl around on the floor and play with them. I want to spend most of my time with my wife. Around 8 hours at work and 4 hours at home before bed, where 3 hours of it or more is busy, trying to relax, eating dinner, tucking the kids in. I want all that. All the time. That's my life dream. I don't know what we're creating and who I'm creating it with. So I find every day really stressful. And things that go on in society really disturbing to me. At the same time as a large part of me could give a shit less. But I do care. And I want my own. But tied to all this stuff, how do I balance it? Was there to balance? I just want my money into play the rest of my life. My wife, my kids, my friends. And to be free from being judged and being at some center of attention, getting no attention at all. So yeah, I get saucy when I've had a few drinks on camera or in person. I'm not like that. It has to do with the channel. It has to do with the burden of divinity and deal with all the stars and all the hooks that they got in the mind, because it's all about this battle against the image of God that they saw, and then turning it on the ego of every person and using that as a battery, making more soldiers or more slaves. And ultimately, there's one guy out here that's all in and all out and all at it and tied through it, and that gets cut off every direction he goes. Every time he has a family, his wife kills a kid or runs off on her. Like, says he's about drugs when he's not, and then runs off to a drug dealer. And everybody loves and accepts that. Or she kills his kid, and everybody is fine with that. But then she just gets with some nobody that she's not even with outside of while she's still married, and gets pregnant. But everybody supports that kid, and that guy is going to be part of the family forever. And she can run off of on him, and she's still going to be good forever. See, and the good guy is the one everybody's going to blame, fucking cut off, and try to hurt, make him pay double, and keep trying to burn him, and never let him back in, never let him in the first place. It had to do with this ego concept of where the fuck's everybody's head at, up their asses, or MIA, or some kind of tyrant perpetrator. And I gotta feel all that shit and deal with that shit, or I have had to my entire life, without having a clear direction. You know, anyone that could, it was a partner, always burned me in a backwards kind of way. And they were accepted for having more problems and the problem that they were trying to put on me, and got to get away and get their cake and eat it too. Wow. I always had to hold that shit. Off, on, it doesn't matter. To be some kind of role model as the idiot that is supposed to lead the way. Like the story of Joshua in the Bible kind of metaphor. At the same time, it's been a lot like Jesus, and a whole bunch of powerful people are the disciples following me, but they already know everything, and they got their power and whatever, and they're not here, but they're using here, and they're writing their books, and they're famous forever. Well, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me everywhere I go, and they ain't doing nothing to help me out. I was sleeping, or nowhere to be found, or writing about it and selling it as a fucking bestseller on the side. There's been a lot of trauma. I'm not at all an angry person or violent. It's difficult to have an outlet because I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm gonna write some music. Yeah, motherfuckers, I hate all your asses. I'm gonna kill you bitches. Yeah, watch this shit. Sometimes it feels good for 5 minutes to listen to it. And then I'm like, that doesn't sound good at all. Ugh. At the same time, the balance of, yeah, I love everyone. Everyone's amazing. I'd do anything for you. Sure, I'll lay on the ground so you can walk over me so you don't have to step in the puddle. La 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 la. Yeah. That wears out in about 5 minutes too. Yeah. So it definitely is a tightrope. I don't figure anybody will ever text me. All I ever get is every few months. It's been this way for a long time. I figure it's somebody I know of, some famous person. that I'll get a text that says it's a random number, and then they'll start talking to me, and they're almost always turn out to be a really attractive Asian girl that wants me to move over to WhatsApp every time. That's the only communication I ever get with real people. Real, huh? I got my friends on YouTube, but they talk to everybody. Everybody comments and loves them. They get to build up their walls and walls of tarot cards and get to be the wise ones and the leaders, and the sweet ones, the gentle ones, or the badass spiritual warriors. And I get to be the boss. The boss. It doesn't matter. That's the problem. It's on the side. It doesn't exist. It doesn't fit in. It's supposed to be leading everybody. They're all trying to lift me up, trying to guide me, and I ain't got nowhere to go. I sure as fuck can't get there. It's almost like the more attention I give any one of them, the more I just feed into them, taking advantage of me. Well, I build their confidence up, and they think it's working for them, but they're not contributing. Nobody's contributing to Josh unless it's all the collective stuff that everybody can fucking use. It's just there. I have gotten paid not $1 while the entire collective has watched me suffer. When I was starving, I was getting my shit kicked out of me, getting pursued by and cornered in by the government. Nobody fucking helped me, and everybody's watched that shit. And might as well have been participating, because if you watch crime happen, you ain't gonna do anything about it. But then they just get on, and then it's just like, oh hey, I'm gonna lift everybody up. Hey, yeah, I'll take your donations. Thanks for the $45. Yeah, thanks for the $5. Yeah, here. Oh, you want to know if your ex is gonna, if you're, if you should call your ex back, or if they really care about you? King of Wands reverse. Well, I'd say they really don't care. Um, da 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 da. But thanks for the $40. Hi, Tigger. I guess I'm done talking. At least, at least one person to make sure I get attention. You say hi? It's Tigger's time. So, if you think your life's easy, yeah, it probably is. You think I'm crazy? You're probably 3/4 crazy, and all full blown crazy too. And it's like I said, the less you know, less you got to deal with. So if it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't mean it's not real. It just means you don't know anything about it. If you've never seen a car in your life, Then you'd think anybody talking about a car and yeah, I drove 1,000 miles. Yeah, whatever. You did drive 1,000 miles. What's 1,000 miles? It's the distance from here. Bullshit. There's no fucking way you did that. Yeah. I was going along and hit a bird, splattered, turned it into dust. 80 miles, 80 miles an hour. What's that mean? Well, it's faster than you ever seen anything run. Bullshit. Yeah. How'd you do that? I was just sitting there. You you weren't moving. You were going faster than anything could run. Yeah, you like remember that storm when all the trees got knocked over and how strong that wind was? Remember? Yeah, yeah. The whole tree line. I watched them get uprooted. Here, that was 80 mile an hour wind. You were moving that fast. Bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. Sitting still. Yeah. See, it doesn't make any fucking sense to somebody who doesn't know anything about it. So what's crazy, right? So what is it to snap out of it? What's the main character energy? Am I supposed to tell you all to do? If there ain't everybody else out there to tell you to do it, you'd probably like it better if they told you how. I don't know how to divide like everyone else naturally does. How to beat around the bush. What is the bush that we're beating on anyhow? Let me show you how to fix a car. I can show you how to do that. I don't have a car to show you, so what do I do? What am I supposed to teach anybody? Especially since everyone's a know-it-all. Or they don't give a fuck. So who cares? But your audience will find you, they say. Well, what do I do with the audience I got? If we don't have a direction to go, what's the message I'm supposed to give each day? I mean, I don't feel like necessarily an imposter doing tarot readings. At the same time as, like I said, forces to be use that and put it on themselves. At the same time as quit. Seem to like to turn it on everyone else. So if I give a negative, then what are they going to turn it on everybody that watches? See, I find this system really sick. So how am I supposed to lead with a whole bunch of rich and powerful people in the whole system keeping an eye on one guy and using it for their advantage? While everyone around either goes along with blinders on, won't do anything, won't even help a guy out, just as regular one to one, like fucking people do. They ain't nowhere to go. And we're all in the same hell in a handbasket. I mean, so it is, right? Just want to show up. A lot of the stuff I want to talk about. It's too specific. I don't really want to bring it up now. So hope y'all have a good day. I never have tomorrow to look forward to, or even anything to look forward to in an hour. There's nothing to do, nothing to do it with. Nobody to hang out with, nowhere nowhere to go. If there's more than a mile, then I can't get there. So it is.